My name is George Robnett, and I am the host of Community Thursdays, brought to you by the Consumer Council of Missouri. As you know, the Consumer Council of Missouri is here to level the playing field for consumers throughout the state of Missouri. And behind the scenes, of course, we got our excellent producer, Mr. Antonio Weston, the man that makes it all happen. Today, we have a very special guest, gentleman who's been doing work in our community for, I don't want to say
decades.
Decades. Okay, he said it for decades. Still a young man. However, he's been doing positive work in our communities, bringing people together, bringing opportunities together for people, particularly in the area of housing, for a number of years. And that's Mr. Michael Burns. Today, Mr. Burns is here to join us. He is the president of Northside Community Housing Incorporated. And with that, Mike has been with the agency now for, over 8+ years, almost 9 years.
Coming up on 9 years.
Fantastic. In addition to that, Mike is a real estate instructor and been instructing real estate for almost 20 years as a licensed real estate broker in the state of Missouri and Illinois.
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
Been a little busy.
Been a little busy. I said, I also hold a real estate broker's license, but I don't want to say when because it was somewhere like 1980, 81 when I first got my license. But I'm still not licensed in the state of Illinois, but in Missouri. But
it's 42 years for me.
42 years. Wow. Well, I won't even say how much but 42 years is fantastic. And with that, that's given Mike a specific expertise in the housing area and ability to provide housing to affordable housing for families throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area, particularly in the area of the Northside Housing Community Incorporated. In addition to that, Mike served as director of housing with St. Patrick's Center for a number of years, which is a fantastic organization as well, which also helps many low and moderate income families find housing, particularly emergency housing in the area of St. Patrick's Center. With that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Burns.
Thank you, George. Good to be here. So glad to be here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate you taking your time out of your day. I know you're busy. And particularly on a day like today when I think it's
hot.
I think it's 100+ degrees outside already with the heat index. Mike, tell us a little bit about Northside Housing Incorporated.
Well, Northside Community Housing, it actually formed out of another nonprofit.
Okay.
That nonprofit at that time was called Northside Community Center.
Oh, wow.
You now know it as Northside Youth and Senior Services.
Wow, really?
So that's actually where the organization got its start.
Really?
You know, but back in the 70s, when Northside Community Center was out in the community providing food to residents that lived primarily in North St. Louis, they started going into people's homes and they saw that there was a need for housing, you know, because people were living in pretty squalor kind of conditions. So they decided they were going to start a housing committee as a part of Northside Community Center, and they moved forward on that. But then the conventional thinking at that time was that, you know, a housing agency and a food service agency that eventually became Meals on Wheels as a program, it wasn't a good fit. You know, you need to focus on something that is your core strength.
Absolutely.
So it was decided that the organizations would sever ties and just Northside Community Center would just focus on the food and the Meals on Wheels, and Northside Community Housing would start a 501c3 and get totally off into the housing situation. So that's actually what occurred. In around 1977.
That was around 1977? Okay. Right. I wasn't familiar with that. I've known of Northside Community Housing, Inc. for a number of years. Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, I just recently, in the several years, became familiar with the Northside Community
Youth and Senior Services.
Right.
Yeah, and we got that 501c3 or 501c3 around 2003.
Okay. Fantastic. So you are a nonprofit just like the Consumer Council of Missouri.
Indeed.
So
indeed.
don't forget, our viewers, if you're looking for someone to make a donation, we are here for you.
All right.
And look forward to that. Mike, tell me a little bit about the number of housing units and type of housing units you've been able to develop or sustain over the years?
Well, we've got about 250 units
Wow.
of housing that's
Okay.
located primarily in North City, the Ville, the Greater Ville.
Okay.
We've got properties in Mark Twain neighborhood,
Okay.
Kingsway West neighborhood,
Kingsway West. Okay.
and we're expanding those boundaries because we're actually working on some new stuff in Hamilton Heights as well as in
Oh, nice.
Jeff Vanderloo and in the Central West End as well.
Nice, nice, nice. So, and you say Kingsway West. There's a Kingsway East and a Kingsway West,
There
correct?
is.
Okay,
There
two
is.
separate groups. Okay.
So we're
fantastic.
right at Kings Highway in Wabata.
Okay, very familiar with that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nice neighborhood, nice stable neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I had an uncle who lived Kings Highway and Highland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it used to be a big treat when I was young to walk down to what was then the Sears building
Mm-hmm.
with my older brother and get peanuts and jelly beans.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? You're probably too young to remember those
I
days.
remember the Sears building being there. I remember the Sears building being on South Grand.
Man, right.
So I
Okay.
could go back a little bit. I remember, Woes in the earlier days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the projects you have. Are they all affordable housing units? Are they for sale or for rent or combination of both?
Yeah, everything you just mentioned.
Oh, okay.
We're actually doing all of it. The majority of the units are for rent.
Okay.
They are single family homes, 2 families, 4 families, 6 families. We've got them broken down that, and then we've got some bigger developments where it might be a 20-unit development,
right.
or a 60 something that we're working on.
Okay.
Unit development. We also have these LIHTC, low-income housing tax credit projects that we got through the Missouri Housing Development Commission years ago, and the whole design of those was to have individuals to live in them as a rental situation, but grow into home ownership.
Okay.
And that's primarily, what really interested me in being a part of Northside in the first place. Is I love to see people go from a rental situation to a home ownership situation,
Absolutely.
and to be able to get access to the equity,
Right.
In those homes and the things that you can do
Right.
with the equity. People don't really realize just how valuable,
Right.
that is,
That
to have,
equity is
have
in home.
access
Right.
to it.
Yeah, that's boring. That's boring capital.
Yeah, it saved my life once when my family, we had a fire.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I had an equity loan. The house was totally paid for. And I was actually able to write a check and buy the next building that we moved right into. Didn't have to go through the bank and say, can I? We need an appraisal. No, it's already done.
already
This is
done.
what I
This
want.
what-
This is what we're going to do.
Fantastic. Well, that's called generational wealth.
Yes.
And that's one thing that I know I promote throughout the community as well. Is real estate is one way to promote generational wealth and secure generational wealth, regardless of the status. I know people that have, as a result of generational wealth or transfer of real estate, have lived mortgage free.
Yes.
Basically for a number of years, and allowed them to put their kids through school or do other things in their life that they otherwise may not have been the opportunity to do. So it's a fantastic opportunity, and I appreciate and I applaud you on that aspect of allowing or wanting people to go from rental to home ownership. Something I've always promoted as, my prior positions as director of housing as well, is to try to secure opportunities for people to become homeowners. I think it's a very valuable asset, and the trend is that I was listening to something on the radio or TV the other week, and they said, the build wealth going forward, it's going to be 2 means: real estate or stocks. So
Yep.
so we'll see. We'll see. I tell my children that. I say, well, this is what they say: how you build and develop wealth. So here you go. Here's a groundwork. Get busy.
And I try to just, even though I mentioned about going from rental to home ownership, I just ended my term as a member of the board of the COC, the Continuum of Care
Right.
for the city of St. Louis. And working in that group, we were working towards getting people from a homeless situation to a rental situation.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm trying to work to make sure that we cover all of the gaps.
Well, that's important, and I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, and I admire you for doing that type of work with the city because it's so critical. You know, without housing stability, you can't even measure the negative impact they can have on one's health, mental capacity, and particularly if they have children. In not having a stable environment. I'm not saying the greatest environment. I mean, but just having a stable environment,
Right.
someplace they can call home and go to every day.
Yep.
I think that is so critical. Let me ask you a question. So you said you had properties in the Greater Ville area in the Ville.
Yes.
Were any of your properties impacted by the
Yes.
by the tornadoes a year
Probably
ago?
about 25% of our properties
wow.
was impacted by the storm. The greatest devastation took place in a complex we call Dick Gregory.
Okay.
That's right on Martin Luther King and Marcus.
Okay.
That was the one that got hit the hardest.
Okay.
We're still trying to work through that situation and get things organized. But yeah, that was it was from a point of view of some of the properties had shingles came off. Some looks like a dollhouse from the side.
Wow.
And then
Just
there's
wide
others
open,
that's just gone.
Oh, really?
It's just not there anymore.
Wow.
You know, so we had all of that, you know, everything in between.
I imagine that was very
But I'm glad everybody lived.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine that was a very busy time for you because you had to find housing for some of those people who were displaced as a result of the tornado.
Yeah.
And then I don't envy you for having to work with subcontractors and contractors and trying to put those homes back online.
And the insurance companies and the adjusters,
right.
you know, and the city,
right.
you know, and all of the different inspections and all the requirements, and then the requirements of your funders because they expect, you know, books to be kept as they were kept when they were occupied.
Right.
So you'll get a lot of, you know, situations where you're not meeting a certain compliance area because the tornado happened.
Right.
So you're going in circles.
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with that low income housing tax credit program, and it can be challenging, especially when it comes to compliance requirements. Because they run by formulas. They don't run by real life situations.
It's a different world.
It's a different world.
It's not for everybody.
No. That low-income housing tax program is not for everybody. It's a great program.
Oh, yeah, when it works.
It works because it does provide a subsidy which allows organizations such as yourself to develop affordable housing.
Yes.
Which otherwise
wouldn't happen. No.
Yeah, otherwise would not happen. So even though I'm not going to speak on behalf of Mr. Burns, I may be critical of some components of the low-income housing tax credit program. It is a very viable program. It is a very viable program and pays a tremendous resource to communities throughout the state and providing affordable housing that otherwise would not be accomplished. Let's ask something else. You know, I think tomorrow, the new water rates go into effect. Is that, I would assume that would impact your housing.
Well, let me just say that I did make a call to one of the property managers related to the vacant units the other day to say, you might want to go ahead and shut off the water to those vacant units and notify MSD that there's no water flowing through those vacant units. Because there's no sense in us paying for something that is not being utilized at this time. As soon as we get those units back online, then we can return to the water service and return to the MSD service as well. So I have to keep all of those things in mind, as I go about my daily chores.
It impacts that bottom line.
Because it's going to be.
They're talking what, 50%?
Yeah, it's gonna be
over the next 3-5 years.
right.
I mean, 50% rate increase.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be significant, and that's gonna impact them tremendously.
All I can say about that is St. Louis does have the best drinking water that I've ever had throughout this whole
country
world.
Yeah.
World. I've been outside of here.
World. Well,
It's nothing like it.
They do have good
Nothing
drinking
like
water.
it.
They do have good drinking water. I will admit to that, even though the infrastructure is probably 100 plus years old.
Yeah.
But they do have good drinking water.
Yeah.
So that's a positive for the city of St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, just in my observation, I know one thing in addition to, you're being faced with these increased costs in water.
Mm-hmm.
I assume your tenants are being faced with the increased cost in utilities because Spires recently had a rate increase within the last year.
Mm-hmm.
Ameren had a rate increase. So are any of your tenants impacted, or are you seeing any impact with regards to your tenants' ability to pay rent as a result of the rate increases?
Well, the issue related to the tenants and rent payment came as a result of the pandemic.
Yes.
And then for our community, it evolved into the tornado.
Oh,
So there's been bam, bam, bam.
One thing after the other.
So I'm looking out now trying to prepare for the earthquake so that we can be prepared when that comes around. Because it looks like it's like every 5 years something, so I'm watching this pattern take place. So I'm watching out for that. We need to get stuff secured.
That's good. That's a good foresight on your behalf. I applaud you on that. I hope we're not. I hope we don't have that happen.
Let's date stamp this conversation and play it back in a few
5
years.
I hope that doesn't happen. Trust me. I hope we don't have a earthquake in 5 years. But I understand why you may fail to think that way.
Yeah.
One of the other impacts that I see and I read about, because I do a lot of reading, is insurance costs.
Oh, my God.
That insurance costs for multifamily housing has basically tripled.
Yeah.
Or close to it. May not gone up that much, at least doubled over the last 5 years.
And the deductibles are off the chain.
Off the chain. Well, that's across the board. That's maybe not just with multifamily, but that's with individual homeowners as well. Because and looking at my policy, and I know I was talking to my mother one time, and she had some minor damage to her home, and so we called out an insurance company. So they, my mother was under the impression she had $1,000 deductible.
Mm-hmm. And what was it?
10% of the value of the house.
Oh God.
So it went from
$1,000
to $30,000.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. I said, well, I said, I'm sure they sent you a new declaration page. And
they'll change it.
And they'll change it.
Because as time goes by, they'll say, you know what? We know we initially covered flood damage, but we're not covering that anymore. We know we initially covered earthquake damage, but we're not covering that no more.
Right.
So that kind of stuff goes
on.
Goes on. And it just comes in the mail. It's you might not even read it because it's not a bill. It's not an invoice. You're like, I don't need this.
I'll look at that later. And the later comes 6 months, a year, or when you have an incident.
Mm-hmm.
So, folks, I think what we're saying is pay attention to those declaration pages you receive every year, because it may have truly changed, and your policy coverage may have truly changed. Mike, what do you see as the future for Northside Community Housing? You see more housing? Well, you talked a little bit about more housing development,
right? Yes.
Or a lot of developments through the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Project have a 15-year compliance period, and many of the investors are looking how to, I don't want to say dispose, but to transfer those properties to a viable entity,
right,
that can
manage it from there forward.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think one of the requirements that I've become familiar with is like anything else. There's a rider to the contract with the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. Many call it a lure, but it's just basically refer to, you will maintain these units at an affordable rate for the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And if you sell it, they're going to maintain it as well.
Okay. at a rate of low income housing.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the distinction between a LIHTC project versus a Section 8?
Who's running the program primarily? I mean, low-income housing tax credits are ran through the Missouri Housing Development Commission, and they oversee all of that. They're the state agency, and even when it comes to receiving federal funds,
Gotcha.
it'll go through that Missouri Housing
Going through
Development.
MHDC. Okay.
Whereas when you're dealing with Section 8 program, it's a HUD-related situation, and they work with trying to think of what a housing authority is. A municipal corporation.
Okay.
That's what the legal terminology is. So they'll work with the housing authority in order to bring those Section 8 funds through. So housing authorities are not nonprofits; they're municipal corporations.
Okay. However, in low-income housing tax credit projects, the rents are substantially less than what would have had to have been charged if the low-income housing tax incentives were not available. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
And those low-income housing tax credits are things that are guaranteed for a longer period of time.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the biggest distinction. Section 8 does not have that kind of guarantee.
Okay.
It's more of a guarantee of, whether a landlord is doing what they're supposed to do, and, increases are based on what that landlord has done to the property to bring it up and make upgrades and things of that nature. So a lot of that is negotiable between the housing authority and the landlord.
Understood.
Whereas MHDC outlines the program up front. You just have to fit in where you fit in, but it's still a very viable program.
Right, absolutely.
It still is. We still have our issues about it. And trust me, I've talked to Kip, over MHDC about my concerns directly in my office.
Right. You got
I done brought them down and said, hey, I got some issues.
Right.
Along with State Representative Kimberly Ann Collins.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We been working together on some things, but they have a open line of communication, an open ear, and we're grateful for to be able to have that dialogue because the stuff we're experiencing, other developers are experiencing as well.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
We just ain't scared to tell you.
I hear you.
And still ask you for some more money.
Yeah. Well, that's the name of the game. If you're going to grow, if you're going to provide housing, affordable housing to the residents of North St. Louis or any part of the state for that matter, you got to ask for the resources. Yeah. So, because without those resources, it'd be very, very difficult to have any level of affordable housing. And I applaud you because I did not know that you had that many affordable housing units throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area.
Now, one thing that I don't spend a whole lot of time is marketing. So I'm so busy being entrenched in the work. And I got a large staff that could probably be doing that. One other person.
A large staff. You heard that. One other person.
Jacqueline Stokes, who's the community development assistant.
Okay.
Along with we've got some wonderful board members. We got 13 board members. Community driven. Board situation. Right. So that it wouldn't even work without them.
Oh, absolutely. I know board is critical. Board is critical. People, community is critical.
Yeah.
Like you said, the state rep, Kimberly Ann Collins, they're all critical in helping stabilize and secure that these communities stay as stable as possible. Are there any of the new projects proposed for the Greaterville area?
Yes, some are.
Good. Okay,
some are actually.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to actually. We're getting ready to build 10 homes after we do these that are in Jeff Vanderloo. We're currently building 6 in the Jeff Vanderloo area.
Okay.
We're building 10 in the Ville and the Greaterville. Great. Along North Sarah, 1700 block. There's one on Belle Glade, 2400 block. Then there's another house that's going to be in the Central West End on Washington.
Oh, nice.
And we also are working on a project with the Hamilton Heights community where we're going to, I'm sure people have seen this development called Mach 1 Wayne Plaza that's on Natural Bridge between Belt and Clara. Right. It's been there forever.
Yeah.
Those units we're going to be taking over in August.
Oh, fantastic.
And they're going to be totally renovated. And we're going to combine that development with 16 units that we have in the Ville. And the new name is going to be Northside Heights.
You're going to be a busy man.
Very busy. That's going to take about 2 years
You're gonna be a busy,
to get through that project.
You're going to be a busy man for the next couple of years.
You know, but just like those infomercials, and that's not all.
Right.
We're also going to be working with developer Yafet El Amin.
Yeah.
We're going to be working on a project. It was initially called Fields
Okay.
Apartments because it was associated with the grocery store. Still going to work
right.
on a grocery store situation, but this is elevated at the bridge. It's going to be on Natural Bridge near Clarence. It's going to be 50 units of senior housing. That's going to be developed over the next couple of years. That's a LIHTC project too.
I applaud you and the developer. Well, like I said, one thing I can tell, having worked in housing for a number of years, you're going to be a busy, busy man for the next couple of years.
Yeah, but it's a good thing.
It's all positive. Don't get me right. I'm just going to be. It's all great, and hopefully, you know, it will help stabilize some of those communities or areas of the city that are. I kind of use the term as distressed because that can be block to block. Kind of distressed areas of the community where there's a tremendous need for affordable housing and housing in general. You know, I think that people will move, just my opinion, a lot of people will move back into areas of the city, particularly where they grew up and what they are familiar with. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to live here. I wouldn't live there. But I find that just to be the opposite of people who grew up in the city and have ties to a certain neighborhood I listen to my cousins talk about the street they grew up on. I mean, you know, they ain't lived on that street for 30, 40 years.
Well, I can say the same thing. I grew up at 4042 St. Louis Avenue.
Okay.
Right on the same block with the Sarah Lou Cafe.
Oh.
You know, so I'm very familiar with that. And I've lived half of my life, 33 years of my life in North City, 33 years in South City. So I just told you how old I am.
I hear you, Mike. I hear you. Well, Mike, I mean, it's truly been a pleasure talking with you. I mean, it sounds like you, like the Consumer Council of Missouri, we're trying to level the playing field.
Yeah.
We're trying to bring opportunities to people, those who may not be aware of these opportunities, housing opportunities. And like us, you know, we're trying to fight for, you know, fair utility rates, et cetera, through Ameren, through Spire, through City Water, and others, MSD included, right? You can never say, don't forget MSD.
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you.
They back there and hiding in the background.
Yeah.
Don't forget MSD. Because, you know, it's critical that, you know, organizations such as itself, to me, and Antonio Weston says it's best, critical organizations such as ours, to let people know that we're out here advocating for low moderate income people. We're trying to level the playing field as much as possible and then provide services and our opportunities that they otherwise may not be aware of. And, you know, it's a collaboration because trust me, not one of us can do it alone. It takes, I listen to you talk about the different communities and developments that you work with, the different neighborhoods. And you got a different politician in almost every one of those areas you talk about.
I mean, at every level, from committee person to alderperson to state rep to state senator. I learned more about politics doing this than I did sitting at Beaumont.
I understand. Trust me. So, I mean, it's a tremendous opportunity as we work to level the playing field and make sure that people are aware of the services, programs, and opportunities that are out there available for them, and that they can pursue these opportunities and or contact a higher agency or your agency with needs and concerns that they may have. But particularly with your organization, I mean, you are really on the ground, providing the services, providing the housing that people need And I think that will only benefit the city of St. Louis in the long run.
Yep, that's what I tell them all the time. We're an extension
of the city.
You know, I told them the other day, with the Board of Aldermen, HUD's committee, that's exactly what I said. We're an extension of you.
Right.
We can pivot when you can't pivot,
Right.
because you got to stick to what you're supposed to be doing. We can move, just like when the tornado happened. We're a housing organization, but we started giving out food, giving out clothes, really, being on the street, trying to see who was hurt, who was sick, who was having issues of whatever sort, and trying to connect folks.
Well, it was devastating. It was devastating because I even reached out to the Department of Commerce and Insurance at the state level and talked with the director, Angela Nelson, and she was committed to doing what she could, and her office doing what she could. She actually came down and visited with a group of constituents and residents of the city who were impacted. And since that time, we've had a good relationship with that office and working through some of the issues that some of the people may have with the insurance companies. Because it's one thing that she holds. She holds the power to renew or not renew their license in the state of Missouri. But the office has been very helpful with us. But a lot of times it just boiled down to people not knowing, unfortunately, not knowing what type of coverage that they had. And this is not just in North St. Louis. This is we talk to people all over the city impacted, and they're not knowing whether they had replacement costs or whether they didn't. And some had it, and some didn't even know it.
Yeah, and then some didn't. A lot didn't have it at all.
At all, right? And some didn't have insurance at all. So unfortunately, that's something that the state can't address if you didn't have insurance. But if you did have insurance, they can, from my experience, they can hold the insurance companies responsible
and accountable
to process that claim. With that, Mike, any other thing you want to add? It's been a great conversation. I think that people throughout the community, including myself, who's been in housing for since 1981, I don't say that too loud, was not aware. I knew of the organization. Trust me, I knew of the organization, but I was not aware of the number of housing units and the diverse locations and areas of the city in which you have housing available, because that's widespread. That's widespread. That's very widespread. When you go to the Greaterville, the Hamilton Heights, that's almost one end of the city to the other. That's the way I look at it. And I know that having worked in property management, used to manage some of those properties.
And I passed some of the properties that you have managed and constructed all the time. And I pass by, seriously. I go down 44 and I said, George did that.
Oh, you Tanner White. Oh,
yeah, see?
Not that. Well, let's not talk about me. This is about Northside Community Housing Cooperative. But that was a great opportunity.
Right.
With that, Mike, on behalf of Consumer Council of Missouri, and particularly myself, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time in this 100+ degree weather to come and share with us the mission, vision, activities ongoing and continuing with Northside Community Housing Incorporated. My friend, it's a tremendous accomplishment.
Thank you.
I applaud you. I know how difficult the work can be.
I know you do. Because I'm walking behind your footsteps.
No, I know how difficult the work can be. And I wish you much continued success in your future endeavors, because I think for you and the organization, the sky is unlimited as far as what you can do and what is needed. And I can only hope that the city continues, or even to a greater extent, supports your efforts.
Yeah, I believe they will.
Okay, if you say so.
I do.
I hope so.
I do.
If you say so, I hope so.
Mark the tape.
Mark the tape. With that, Mr. Burns, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Weston, thank you. Our producer, man behind the scenes, who makes all this happen. I just talk.
Yeah.
With that,
I appreciate you.
we appreciate you, sir.